Welcome back, everybody. Today is Monday, and it's another beautiful day in August, and we're going bowling again tonight. Week number 2 on League Restart for the Pro League at Victoria Bowling Kitchener. Just want to say a few more things from last week that I hadn't really, thought up or got around to in my wrap-up. First of all, man, I'm so out of shape. I'm sure I mentioned that part. I really ran out of gas. Kind of went in with the expectations of, hoping to maybe hit 1,000 for 4, and I didn't make it. I think it was just under 950 for 4. And tonight is, I think I got a little bit higher expectations. I definitely feel like I'm going to hit 1,000. How much over that, I don't know. I think I'd be happy with 1,050 probably. Would probably be a good number. Maybe like a little backstory for the league too. I'm really struggling at this house this year, and I guess I should be careful how I say that. I mean, if my average is like 263. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people that are going to kind of laugh at, the idea that I'm saying that I'm really struggling in that place, but I'm averaging 263. Keep in mind that, a couple years ago I averaged 290 there, and in my other league this year I averaged 288. So, you're looking at a 25 pin difference. So, yeah, in the grand scheme of things, I'm struggling. I find that throwing a harder ball used to work very well in the center, and it's not working as well as it used to. And I guess one benefit for this whole COVID lockdown is that because I'm not in game shape anymore, I can't throw the ball, as hard with as much rotation. Finding my ball is definitely a lot straighter on the restart than it was, during the actual season itself, which is fine, and we can definitely adjust to that. Maybe adjust a little bit easier if the ball's moving a little less. So we'll see what tonight brings. Hopefully it's not too bad. Hopefully I don't crash and burn like I did last week. I was floating around the 270 mark the first couple games last week, and then I hit a wall. And that's just, like I said, being out of game shape. And I didn't even make 200 last game. Well, mind you, I hit it 10 for 11, which, at the higher end level means nothing. You got to hit it in the right spot, not just hitting it. Hitting only counts for so much. But a couple more things. The league itself seems like after the first week there, everyone is adhering to the proper protocol for being able to bowl. Instead of bowling on every pair, we are bowling against teams on a pair, but with a pair separating us individually. So I was on a 11 and 12. There's no one on 13 and 14 beside us, and then 11 and 12 is a wall pair. And then 15 and 16 there was another 2 teams bowling, and then 17, 18 no one, and then 19, 20 there was another pair bowling. So that's good to see. Everybody seemed to really cope very well with wearing masks. There wasn't really any major complaints that I heard anyway. Not that anyone's probably going to tell me, but it seemed like everyone was generally in a pretty upbeat mood, and I think just happy to be back bowling. We'll see what week 2 brings. Now that kind of everyone has a bar or a foundation set, they can kind of gauge from that and see where their game is at. Definitely a lot of rust on the lanes, myself included, but I mean, everyone seemed like they were pretty upbeat. We'll see what tonight, if there's a change in that mood, or if people expect a little more. I know I'm certainly expecting a little more out of myself, and we'll see what can happen. So I don't bowl for a few more hours, so we'll see. Hopefully, I can get some footage of the on-lane bowling. I think it's kind of important to see how, I guess, we're doing things, and there'll be a lot of other leagues or proprietors that might be interested to see how things are going, and kind of gauge the general mood of those customers coming in, and competing at their best, really, to be honest with you, and we'll see what that looks like. So hopefully I got some on-lane work for you.
One eternity later.
We are back, guys. Today is Tuesday. By now you'll obviously have figured out that I did not do any filming inside the bowling center last night. My camera died, and I really dropped the ball on that one. So next week I'll definitely remember to charge my camera before I go bowling. Last night was a great night. I wish I had my camera going. I had 12:01 for 4. Started my third game on the front 7. Probably one of my better nights in a while there, which was really unexpected. Just especially since, like I said yesterday, how rusty I've been, and I'm not really in game shape. But I seem to make some adjustments really well. The lanes are definitely being oiled previously to the league bowling. Starting to get a ring around the ball of oil, which we wouldn't typically get previous years anyway. Which means that there's not a whole lot of movement. A little bit better for me to make an adjustment, especially being as rusty as I've been. Pinning suffered a little bit, but I really can't complain. Average was 263 going into the night, so that'll bump it up a few pins, and life is good. The mood itself in the league was pretty similar to the previous week. Seems like everyone's in pretty good spirits, and the scores are kind of rolling in a little bit. I think there was a slight uptick in scores. I do know, like last week, so we do a Survivor side pot, and they take, after the 4 games, they do like a step ladder for those that are left over, and so they did that last week, and Will Stacy actually he had a 400 in the first game of the step ladder. So scores were good last week, and carried over again this week as well. We did have a bowler. So the way we have it worked, we're in separate classes by average from the draft day. So like your class 1 would be your drafters, class 2 is the next block of averages, class 3 is the next block after that, and then the bottom block would be class 4. We had a class 4 bowler have a shot at a 400 game last night. Came a bit short, but anytime you see a class 4 bowler giving themselves a shot at a 400, it's very encouraging. Not just for the scoring of the place, but for the bowler themselves. Maybe something has clicked now for that bowler, and maybe they're on their way to jumping up to class 3 or to class 2. Sometimes it's as easy as that. Just some small thing that you can really key in on. It was kind of missing from your game, and you get an extra tool in your tool bag. It gets the job done a little easier. And that's one of the things too I also want to kind of make mention of, that having all this time off gives you a lot of time for reflection, and with that reflection, you can really, sit down and kind of diagnose your game. As long as you understand, your game very well, you can kind of come up with a fresh game plan to bettering yourselves, and maybe that's part of the thing that's been helping me, help me this week anyway. I can't say about last week, but for this week, kind of went in the league on the restart with the idea that I'm probably not going to be throwing it as hard. I'm probably not going to be throwing with as much rotation, and maybe that's kind of what I need to be doing right now, because over time, my body has started breaking down. I get elbow problems. Probably not dissimilar to your pitchers getting Tommy John surgery. It's kind of along the same lines, to be honest with you. It's the same nerve in my elbow that has some damage to it, and it's just from throwing so much rotation on the ball all the time. And hey, maybe if I have surgery, maybe for bowling they'll call it the Jeff Young surgery, although I'm not really 100% sure that that's how I'd like to be remembered in the sport. But that being said, I've kind of made a point of it, to tell myself, a little more finesse might not be a bad thing these days. I'm 40 now, so I don't throw the ball, as easily as I used to. And, and if I'm being honest, and I've said this to a lot of people in person, but now I can say it on here, publicly, it's what it really makes you appreciate, the really good bowlers that have longevity. And, you see some elite bowlers and guys that are, in their 50s still getting things done on the lanes. You really appreciate what that really takes, because this game is definitely more of a power game, I think, than it's ever been since I've been alive anyway, or at least been competing. And with that, your body's going to break down. So, a lot of these really good shooters that are in their 20s, they're going to have to make these adjustments when they get to my age, just like I've had to do, to stay at the top of their game. And, you see some of these bowlers that are out there and they're still, performing and, chasing titles and getting things done, and you're hearing their names, being tossed around by throwing, this person had a big tournament, or a huge set in the league, and you just really have to tip your cap to them, because it's not easy. You get up to the top of the game, and that's all fine, but it can go away just as quick. And if you're not taking care of yourself, that's just going to lead to more problems down the road. And if that's the one thing that I can say to a lot of the younger bowlers out there that are kind of learning their craft, don't take the physical maintenance side of things lightly. You really have to take care of your body if you want to stay in the game for a long time. You could be that guy that starting to get a little bit of results, and you're happy with that, but you're not going to be happy for long. I remember when I was coming out of youth bowling, and I was in the 250s for average, and that was coming out of YBC, that was good enough for me. And joining the adult ranks, the 255 average all of a sudden wasn't good enough. And then bowling tournament masters and making a cut was good enough for me. And then after a short while, that wasn't good enough anymore. And then you're making finals and you're winning some stuff, and that's all fine, but then that's not good enough. And that's just the nature of the beast, really. If you're really competitive, you're always going to find that other barrier that you want to cross. And if you don't take care of your body, you're really limiting your window of success. And you just really got to be mindful that if you take care of your body today, and if you're in your 20s, and or even younger, I'm speaking specifically to you. Yeah, sure, you just step up on a lane and throw a ball as hard as you want, and there's no repercussions for it. But if you start taking care of your body, even when there's no repercussions for, going all out right away and not stretching, you're getting yourself into a good practice for those days that they're coming, where you do have some physical limitations, and there are days where you just don't have it, and you have to kind of really dig deep to, physically be able to perform, and that weighs on you mentally as well. If you start today and really, make that effort, if you look at any other sports, so many more athletes are realizing that their maintenance on their health and their body is just taking them to all new levels and for longer periods of time. Bowling is no different. So take the time to take care of yourself, and when you hit 40s, I mean, some bowlers in their 30s starts, there's a lot of amazing bowlers that I don't see out on the club tour. They don't bowl masters anymore, or you don't see them at the Open, just because their body's broken down to the point where they're not competitive or they're not having fun anymore. And you hate to see that, because we're at a time where bowling needs as many stars as it can get, and we need to promote those stars. And seeing a lot of bowlers falling to the wayside because their physical performance it's just not working anymore. And whatever you can do to prevent that, core training, get to the gym once in a while, go jogging. You'll thank me later. You might not see it today, but 10, 20, 30 years down the road, it's going to make a difference. And no one is exempt from it. You see so many bowlers that they have maybe a 10-year window of excellence, and they fall off. And a lot of the times that has nothing to do with the physical or the mental ability. It's all physical. And there's just days where your body just doesn't do what your brain wants it to do. And I'm sure you've heard that from a lot of bowlers before. So take that time to maintain yourself, so that you can at least put that off as long as possible. You'll never shut it out completely, but it'll prevent it from happening, as long as possible. So next week, another week. I don't want to get too excited about having a good week this week. That was yesterday. Today's a new day. While the scores were nice, can't necessarily go out and think it's going to be just that easy next week. Got to be mentally sharp, and hopefully, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have video next week of on lane, just to kind of give everyone a feel of what it looks like in the center while everyone's bowling. It's definitely going to be a little bit to get used to. People not giving high fives, and people are wearing masks all the time, and I'd like to really be able to show you guys, what that looks like, because let's be honest, we're at the stage right now where a lot of centers are just kind of getting a look at what their league forecast is going to be, and there aren't very many people in the country bowling leagues. I'm definitely one of the fortunate ones that is getting some on lane work, and it feels normal again. Life feels like it's kind of getting back to normal, and if you're not out on the lanes yet, you will be soon. And I'd kind of like to be able to show everybody, what they might expect, I guess is the best way to put it, when they do return to the lanes. So, good night, or a good week this week, and let's see if we can build on that momentum. We only have a couple weeks left for this section of season is supposed to start at the beginning of September, just the same as it would normally. We're just trying to kick in the last 4 weeks of bowling and get them in so we get the full year in. And I feel like that's important too, because it helps the proprietor out. It gets them that lineage, especially, you know, helping them build up. Because once September ramps up, you know, there's going to be more people in the door, but there's not going to be like what it would be in previous years. And you know, that extra lineage might make the difference in a lot of different avenues, and just making sure that, you know, they're still running efficiently. So that being said, until next week, like I said, we're going to do some on-lane stuff and to give you a good idea of what that looks like. And until then, you know, keep an eye out for us. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and we'll see you then.